All right, strap yourself in, because today we're taking a deep dive into a story that's got more twists and turns than, well, you'll see.
Buckle up.
We're going to crack open the book of Genesis,
Yeah,
chapter 44,
it's a good one.
for a story that's packed with family drama, hidden identities, and seriously high stakes. This one's got it all.
It really does. What I find so fascinating about this particular story is that it's ancient,
Right.
but it still resonates with us so strongly today.
Mm-hmm.
It taps into these universal themes and, betrayal, forgiveness, and let's face it, the complicated dynamics of family relationships.
Oh, yeah. We've all been there.
Absolutely.
So, okay, let's set the stage. We've got Joseph, who's, living the good life in Egypt after being sold into slavery
Right.
by his own brothers.
Talk about a dysfunctional family reunion, right?
No kidding. Now, thanks to a famine, those same brothers, they're in Egypt, desperate for food.
Yeah.
And get this, they have no idea they're bowing down to their long-lost brother.
Isn't that wild? It's like the ultimate irony.
It really is.
And Joseph, you can't really blame him. He's
Yeah.
not exactly rolling out the red carpet for a welcome home party.
Understandably so.
He's putting them through these tests, It's almost as if he's trying to figure out,
Like, have they changed at all?
exactly, have they learned anything from what they did?
Yeah.
And in this chapter, he really raises the stakes.
Oh, here's where things get good.
Tell me about it.
Joseph, he plants a silver cup
Yeah, a silver cup.
in Benjamin's sack.
Right,
And remember, Benjamin's the youngest, Joseph's favorite.
right.
So, I gotta ask, what's the deal with this whole cup thing? Is he just messing with them?
Well, on the surface, it might seem that way, but there's a deeper layer to this,
Okay.
It's like Joseph's conducting a psychological experiment on his brothers. Remember, these are the guys who betrayed him
Oh, yeah.
in the worst possible way. So this final test with the cup, it's like the centerpiece.
Okay.
It's designed to see if their hearts have changed at all. Do they have any remorse? Any sense of loyalty?
It's the ultimate test.
It really is.
Well, let me tell you, their reaction is straight out of a Greek tragedy.
Seriously.
They find the missing cup, and it's total meltdown mode.
You can just picture it.
They're ripping their clothes,
Yeah.
offering themselves as slaves. It's like you can practically feel the desperation
No, absolutely.
radiating off the pages.
It's interesting how their fear and guilt, it just manifests in such a dramatic way,
Totally.
But there's one brother, Judah,
Okay.
who takes a completely different approach.
Okay.
He steps up and he's like, hey, take me instead of Benjamin. Let me be your slave. Talk about a plot twist.
Right. Especially because Judah was one of the, ringleaders in that whole selling Joseph into slavery thing.
Exactly.
So what do you think, what motivates this sudden change of heart in him?
Well, this is where we really see that concept of redemption,
Okay.
coming into play. Judah's not that same hothead he was all those years ago. He's demonstrating this profound sense of empathy and responsibility, even offering up his own freedom. It's like he's finally understanding the weight of his past actions.
It makes you wonder, is he trying to not only save Benjamin, but also kind of redeem himself at the same time?
Oh, absolutely. It's like he's trying to make amends for what he did in the past.
Yeah.
And this is where the story starts to offer some really powerful insights for all of us. Think about times in your own life when you might have messed up, maybe hurt someone, or made a choice you regretted.
We have all been there.
How did you deal with those consequences?
Yeah, it really makes you think.
It does, doesn't it? It's like, how do we handle those moments when we realize the impact of our actions?
Exactly. And that's what's so powerful about this story. It forces us to confront those tough questions.
It really does. It makes us look in the mirror and ask ourselves, what would I do in that situation?
And that's what we're going to keep exploring as we dive deeper into this incredible tale. So stay tuned, because we're just getting started.
So we left off with Judah
Mhm.
making this incredibly selfless act,
Right.
volunteering to be a slave in Benjamin's place.
It's intense.
It's a huge turning point in the story.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And remember, Joseph's brothers, they still don't know who he is.
Right.
They're standing there before this powerful Egyptian official,
Right,
terrified
totally.
for their lives and their family's future.
The weight of that encounter.
I can't even imagine.
They're pleading for mercy, but the whole time they're talking to the brother they betrayed.
It's mind-blowing when you think about it.
It really is. It's almost too much to process, isn't it?
Totally. So what's going on in Joseph's head at this point?
Yeah.
Is he moved by Judah's plea? Is he ready to forgive?
It's like the tension is just building and building.
Absolutely.
And then what happens next is this incredible mix of justice and compassion.
Okay.
Joseph just can't hold back any longer.
Right.
He reveals his true identity.
Whoa, can you imagine?
I mean, the shock,
I bet their jaws hit the floor.
the disbelief, the flood of emotions, it must have been overwhelming.
Totally.
Yeah.
So after all this drama and emotional roller coaster, what happens next? Is it a happy family reunion?
Well, it's complicated, you know. It's not a simple resolution.
Right.
You can imagine the mix of joy and pain as they confront everything that happened.
Yeah.
But Joseph, he reassures them. He tells them, don't beat yourselves up about it.
Really?
He explains that God used their actions, in a way, for good.
Okay.
That selling him into slavery ultimately saved lives during the famine.
That's a pretty radical way of looking at things.
It is.
Like finding meaning in the midst of suffering.
It flips the whole idea of revenge on its head, doesn't it?
Totally.
It really speaks to this idea of redemption, that even our worst mistakes can be part of a larger purpose.
Mm.
And what I find remarkable is that Joseph chooses forgiveness.
Right.
He recognizes that holding on to anger and resentment wouldn't change the past.
That's a powerful lesson.
Yeah.
But honestly, I can't help but think it's a lot easier said than done.
Oh, for sure.
Forgiveness is hard.
It's such a complex issue.
How do you let go of that hurt and anger?
You've hit on a crucial point. Forgiveness, it isn't about saying what happened was okay or forgetting the pain.
So it's not about the other person.
Not really. It's more about making a choice to release the bitterness that can eat away at us.
So it's about freeing yourself.
Exactly. It's acknowledging the wrong, allowing ourselves to feel the emotions, and then making a deliberate decision to move forward.
Why?
It's a journey, not a destination.
Right.
And it's definitely not easy. But Judas' transformation shows us it's possible. He went from being part of the problem to becoming the solution.
It's pretty inspiring.
It is. This whole story is giving me so much to think about.
Me too.
It reminds us that families are complicated, people make mistakes,
Yeah.
and forgiveness, while tough, can be incredibly powerful.
For sure.
But I'm curious what happens to Joseph and his brothers after this huge revelation.
Yeah. Where do they go from here?
Well, that's where we'll pick up in the final part of our deep dive. We'll explore the aftermath of this dramatic reunion and consider what lessons we can glean from this ancient story for our lives today.
We're back for the final chapter in this epic story of Joseph and his brothers.
Yeah.
We've seen the betrayal, the tests, the reunion.
It's been quite a ride.
Oh, it has.
Yeah.
But the question is, what happens next? How do they move forward after all this?
Well, what happens next is really interesting. Instead of getting revenge, Joseph, he invites his whole family to come to Egypt. He wants them to leave Canaan and settle in Egypt where he can provide for them.
The brothers who sold him into slavery.
Yeah.
He's inviting them to live with him.
He is.
That's incredible.
It really shows you the power of forgiveness, not just for the person receiving it, but for the one giving it too.
So how does Jacob react to all this?
Beautiful. He's overcome with joy.
I bet.
And disbelief.
After all those years thinking Joseph was dead, he gathers his whole family and they all head to Egypt for this huge reunion.
It's a powerful image, isn't it?
It really is. It makes you think about family ties.
Absolutely.
And how they can endure even after years of separation and heartache.
And it speaks to the resilience of the human spirit, Our ability to overcome adversity and find hope.
Totally. Joseph's story, it's like a mirror reflecting all these timeless truths.
About human nature, yeah.
Our capacity for love and betrayal. And it challenges us to look at our own lives.
Our own relationships.
Our own ability to forgive.
This whole deep dive has been a roller coaster.
It has.
Yeah.
It really makes you think, would we be able to forgive like Joseph?
It's a tough question.
What does forgiveness even mean? Are there some things that are just unforgivable?
These are questions worth wrestling with. Maybe this story can guide us, help us discover that power of forgiveness and reconciliation.
Thanks for joining us on this journey through Genesis 44.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you found it as thought-provoking as we have.
Until next time.
Keep exploring. Keep questioning.
Keep diving deep
into the stories that shape our world.